Back to another video. In today's video, I just finished checking all the Hexerei characters that will be updated next week when the patch drops. So Albedo, Fischl, Razor, Mona, Sucrose, Klee, Venti, I think that's the list, will receive buffs starting 6.2, so version Luna 3. And yeah, I checked it on stream, so if you want to check, you can also see the VOD on my Twitch channel. But yeah, in today's video, I will recap all these buffs and give my thoughts on what synergies can work with those characters in between and with other teams. And yeah, give my opinion on those buffs. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the notification. And feel free to leave a comment as well if one of those characters you like a lot and you wanted to see that buff happen. So some of those characters have received some very nice buffs, so it is pretty cool. This is from the creator server as well, so this might still change. We don't know before the release, but we're getting close to the patch, so it shouldn't change too much. So first, what is the Hexerei buff? Basically, the Hexerei buff is, in terms of lore, related to the Hex and Zircle characters. And those Hexerei characters will receive a buff after you finish a story quest that will release during the patch. And basically, they will have to work in tandem. So you have to use two Hexerei characters together to be able to unlock most of these buffs. Some of the characters have received some buffs and like updates that do not depend off the Hexerei synergy, but most of them are related to the Hexerei synergy. One of the coolest one, in my opinion, is Albedo. So first thing first, now if you play Albedo with another Hexerei character, his skill will basically never break. When you put his skill on the ground, he will be able to generate more silver isotomas when you hit the enemies with it. So even if it breaks, even if the main one breaks, he will be able to keep generating those silver isotomas still. Now, on top of that, after you use Albedo's skill, the characters in the rest of your team will receive some buffs up depending on Albedo's defense. So, for example, if you use your skill, the nearby party members' normal attack, skill, charge attack, plunging attack, and burst, so basically every ability, every type of damage, except maybe like reactions, will increase by 4% for every 1,000 defense Albedo has. So if you have 3,000 defense, the cap of the buff is 12%, so you will need 3,000 defense to max that buff. If you have 3,000 defense, you will receive 12% damage bonus with all these abilities. And on top of that, if the character is an Hexerei character, they will receive up to 30% damage bonus if you have 3,000 defense. So it is an insane buff for a decent amount of characters. I mean, even just 12% damage bonus for free is kind of nice. But for the Hexerei character, another 30% is really, really big. And then after that, he also received some buffs on his constellation. So for example, the C1 will makes it so it will gain a bit more defense, so 50% more defense after you use your skill. The C2 makes it so his burst deals a bit more damage as well. His C4 will make it so the plunge damage will increase even more in the area of his skill, so it's pretty nice. I don't think it's that great like in general, because you're not going to play too many characters that plunge with him, and you're not going to play Shao, but who knows, maybe in the future a character will plunge and this C4 will be even more useful. But they still doubled the buff from the C4, so it's kind of nice. And then now the C6, initially it was only 17% damage bonus for the characters in the field. Now on top of that, Albedo's burst will deal 1 billion damage, so it's pretty nice, gives a bit more damage to Albedo and keep that buff for the rest of the team. So overall, very, very nice buffs for Albedo. And I think he's going to be very cool to play in a lot of different teams. He's pretty flexible, so it is kind of nice. I think for Albedo now, like, you can play him with Venti. I remember those old teams where we were playing like Venti Albedo, and then enemies were grouped together, and then they were getting hit by the Albedo skill all the time, and then you were doing Ganyu Burst or something. It was like a full grouping, and everything was getting hit by everything. It was so fucking fun. I think this kind of team can work again, honestly. Like, the DPS probably not as good as like a Moika team or something, but hey, worth the try. You can do Albedo with Jurin and maybe some like other characters like I don't know, like Klee or something like that, or you can do Klee double Pyro double Geo, or Klee mono Pyro with like Albedo, Venti, or something like that. Like you can do some cool stuff. And yeah, as I said, Albedo is pretty flexible, so his geo application is really low. So he usually doesn't mess up too much with rotations in teams, so it can be pretty fun. After that, I think the second, I mean, the buffs overall have been pretty good. I'm not really ranking which one is the best, but from my perspective and from the things that I'm interested to play, I think the second one is Fischl. Fischl buff is really, really insane. So basically now, when you play her with another Hexerei character, she will give 22.5% attack to characters when you proc Overload. So in Overload teams, it's going to be very good. If you play with Durin, if you play with Klee or stuff like that, it's going to be really, really nice. And if you play in Lunar or Electrocharge teams, it's going to be 90 Elemental Mastery. So in Flint's team with Sucrose, for example, it's going to be pretty good. And the biggest change as well in her constellation is, I think it's only the C6 actually that changed. Now the C6 will also increase that buff by an extra 100%. So basically double the buff from the Hexerei Fischl buff, which is freaking insane. 45% attack in Overload teams and 180 EM in Lunar Charge / Electrocharge team is pretty crazy. So definitely needed that buff. She was kind of weak before that. I'm joking. So yeah, that's pretty nice buff for Fischl. Honestly, she's really, really cool. And then third one, honestly, I think the third craziest one is Razor. So Razor, I mean, it's kind of like the beginner DPS. Like a lot of people, at least I remember, like when I started in 1.0, he was kind of my main DPS for a lot of people. I think that was the case as well back then. But I mean, he's kind of weak in general. He's been kind of weak for the last like 4 years. As soon as we got more like 5-star DPS, like he was kind of useless. But now with this buff, I'm sorry to say, but he might be better than, I mean, it's not he might be better. He is better than Raiden C0, unfortunately, especially if you have C6 Razor. Basically, the passive that is added to Razor without even 2 Hexerei character, he will gain 70% of his attack as damage increase on his burst, just for free, just for existing. So you don't even need to activate the Hexerei buff to get that. And on top of that, if you activate the Hexerei buff, when you overflow the sigils from his mechanic, he will deal an extra AoE electro damage equal to 150% of his attack and restore even more energy as well. So I think it's going to be very easy to basically have perma ult on perma burst on Razor and also deal a lot more extra damage. I will do some showcase as well, and maybe on the screen right now I will put some showcase. So really, really good buffs. And on top of that, like his constellation, I think it's the C6 only that changed. Yeah, and then on C6, he gains even more electro damage, and he gains up to 10% crit rate and 50 crit damage. So they really updated his constellation to become like a proper C6 4-star constellation. So really, really nice. 70 crit value in the constellation on the C6, basically similar to Gaming or stuff like that. Really, really good damage, and he's going to perform insanely well with Hexerei character, and you will see that if you like Razor, he's going to be pretty nice. In terms of build, I don't think his build will change too much. He will keep the Gladiator. Maybe you can move to, like, I mean, you can do some Thundering Fury or Gilded Dreams or stuff like that, but yeah, I mean, his build will not change that much compared to before. Yeah, I mean, you can play him in Overload. You can play him in, I mean, you can play him with like Electrocharge as well. Like you can do a lot of stuff. I think Overload is probably going to be his best setup with Durin and Fischl and Chevaux. Like it's probably going to be the best team, honestly. But yeah, he's going to deal some very, very solid damage. After that, we got Venti. So Venti, basically what happens to him is that his burst will give damage buff to the rest of the team up to 50% damage bonus when you trigger a swirl reaction while his burst is active. So that's a lot of damage bonus. Of course, you need 2 Hexerei characters. So yeah, I mean, he's going to work with Klee. He's going to work with, I mean, he can work with Razor. He can work with Fischl, depending the teams you play. He's going to work great with Durin. So yeah, really solid buff. 50% damage bonus is pretty insane. When Venti's normal attack hit an opponent during his burst duration, it will increase, I mean, during his burst, it will increase the burst duration by 1 second. And you can trigger this every 0.1 second up to 2 times. So you can increase the duration for 2 seconds, and you just need to do 2 normal attacks basically after the burst. And then after you use Venti's burst, his normal attack will also be infused with Anemo. They will be called Wind Thunder arrows, and it will deal more damage to the enemies that are in the burst. And the great thing is that the C1 will make it so every attack that you do during that Anemo infusion will have 2 extra arrows that will deal Anemo damage as well. And yeah, it's gonna make it also easier to stack the buff burst duration increase from the passive. It's only 2 normal attacks that you need to do, so it's not like it's super difficult to get that 2 extra seconds. But yeah, it's gonna make it much nicer, and in terms of DPS, it's gonna increase Venti's DPS quite a bit. After that, C2, basically you gain a flat 24% Anemo res on the enemy. Before that, it was 12 plus 12. Like you had to swirl or something like that. Now it's just straight up 24% Anemo res shred with the skill. And when you use your burst, it will reset the cooldown of the skill of Venti, so it's going to be very, very nice. And then on top of that, like if it was not enough damage bonus, when you do some normal attacks during that burst, you will also get a 25% chance to get a special skill that deals 300% of the original damage. So this is a lot of damage bonus. This is a ton of damage bonus. So at C2, he's going to become a very, very insane DPS. Even at C0, he's going to be pretty solid, but at C2... he's actually gonna become the real Anemo Archon. And then C4 basically gives a 25% Anemo damage bonus for the rest of the team. And then C6, another 20% Anemo res shred on the enemy, plus 20% res shred from the infused element on the burst, plus Venti gains 100 crit damage to the damage that he deals to the opponents. So that are like infused with the burst and stuff, so it's pretty insane. He's gonna become quite the monster. And then, as I said, in terms of teams, like if you want to benefit from that buff, Klee can work, Durain can work. You can play with Fischl, you can play with Razor. I mean, you can put him in almost any team that has like one Hexerei character. I think the best synergy is still going to be Durain, because like Durain off field and you can play Venti on field is gonna be pretty insane. So yeah. I think it's gonna be pretty fun. I will definitely test some Venti main DPS when the patch release. And we got our favorite cutie Klee that also got some buffs. One thing first is that she kind of got her gameplay fixed. She was a little bit clunky always to play. Like you needed to do some charge attack in between the normal attacks, using a lot of stamina, etc. They kind of fixed that and made it so now she gets some free charge attack from time to time. But to activate this, you will still need a second Hexerei character. Her best team is definitely going to be Overload anyway, so you will need Fischl or Durain, honestly, for her to be in her best team if you really want to play her. So it's not really a problem, I would say. And yeah, you need a second Hexerei character to activate that buff. And on top of that, she will also gain some extra damage bonus for when you have Hexerei character in your team. And then on top of that, her C1 also got updated in the rest of her constellation. So her C1 basically makes it so when you do attack and abilities, there's a chance to deal an extra chunk of damage if this effect procs. For 12 seconds after that, you will gain, Klee will gain 60% attack, which is really, really insane. So that's a very good update on top of the previous ability of the constellation. So very, very good buff. On top of that, the C2 also got a bit updated. The only change is that before you had to hit the enemy with the mines of the Jumpy Dumpty, so the mini bombs on the ground. Now you just have to hit the enemy with the skill to decrease the opponent's defense. The C4 basically, before that, when you were leaving the field during Klee's burst, would create a pyro damage explosion and deal 500 something damage on the enemy, 555%. Now on top of that, if you are on field, if you stay on field with Klee, at the end of the duration of the burst, the explosion will trigger and deal even extra damage if Klee is still on field. So if you play her main DPS, it's even better, because before that, it was basically just you couldn't really, like, you had to swap before the end of your burst, and it was kind of dumb. So now, if you stay during the whole duration of your burst, it will deal even more damage, and yeah, you can keep your Klee on field, so it's kind of nice. And then finally on the C6, basically a ton of pyro damage. Before that, it was only like 3 energy for the whole team and then 10% pyro damage bonus, which was really, really weak for a C6 character. Now, Klee on top of that will also gain 50 pyro damage, 50% pyro damage bonus. And on top of that, there's a chance for Klee's normal attack to deal extra damage. So it is very, very strong, and honestly, Klee's DPS now is very, very solid. Like, it's a very good buff. She's not going to be exact same level as Arlecchino, but she's getting really, really close to Arlecchino power. So if you enjoy Klee and you were kind of sad she was not that strong anymore, now she is solid. She's very good. In terms of teams, as I said, Overload is going to be her best option. And yeah, I mean, I think she's still going to work in Vape. Like, you can do Mona, you can do some big Vapes with like Mona, Sucrose or stuff like that. But Overload with Durin, Fischl is really going to be the biggest damage team. Now after that, we have Sucrose. So Sucrose, still the GOAT Anemo character. Now when she uses her skill and her burst, she will deal a bit more damage. I mean, she will give you some damage bonus. So it is kind of nice. Not necessarily super good for Flint's teams, but it can work in like a lot of other teams. So pretty nice for most situations. And then I think the last change is that her C6 now gives even extra damage bonus. So you can get up to like 22 or something like that, or 23 damage bonus, 23% damage bonus. So it is pretty solid. It's pretty nice. Or 20, yeah, it's like 21% damage bonus or something like that. So that's pretty good damage bonus. And the last one to check is going to be Mona. So for Mona, basically what happens is that now her burst will give an extra 15% damage bonus for Vaporized Reaction. And when you use your normal attacks with Mona on an enemy that is affected by her burst, it will increase the duration of the burst, like the state of... like when you use Mona's burst, the enemy will take more damage. It will increase the duration of this state on the enemy, so the enemy will take more damage for longer. You can increase that duration up to 2 seconds by using normal attacks on Mona. And you need to do about 4 normal attacks to increase the duration to the max. And the C1 also got updated, so C1 will make it so hydro-related reactions will increase by another 160%. Like the buff from the C1. So for example here, Electro Charge 15%, Lunar Charge 15%, Vaporize 15%. Now when Mona is on field and one of these reaction is triggered, the damage bonus of the above reaction will be increased by 160%. So instead of 15%, it's going to be about 24% damage bonus. So it is quite nice. It's not game breaking, but it is quite nice. Now, the C2 is very nice as well. So the first part doesn't change. When a normal attack hits, there's 20% chance that it will be followed by a charge attack. But now, after 5 seconds after she uses her burst, her next normal attack will also trigger a charge attack. So that part is new and makes it so as soon as you use your burst, you will gain 2 instances of damage on the enemy, which will be able to extend the duration of the burst again, so much faster. And on top of that, when your charge attack hits an opponent, all nearby party member EM will be increased by 80, which is pretty nice and gives you even more vaporized damage. On top of that, the C4 will give 15 crit damage bonus to the Hexerei characters that hits an opponent affected by her burst, so this is really good as well. And then finally, the C6 is basically just a lot of damage bonus for Mona's charge attack. So if you want to play her main DPS at C6, I think it should definitely be possible, and it's going to be pretty solid. In terms of teams, I think Mwalani is going to benefit the most from that Mona buff. You will be able to play Sucrose Mona with Mwalani, and that vaporized damage buff, that EM buff on the C2 if you have it, it's gonna be really, really good. And yeah, Mwalani is gonna be absolutely crazy with that Mona buff, so definitely recommend Mwalani, Pyro Traveler, Sucrose Mona is gonna be cracked. Then after that, you can play with just Durin main DPS slash main DPS vape team. You can still play with like I don't know, like a Hutao team or something like that with Sucrose Mona. Like you still got some options, but Mwalani is going to be the biggest winner. And yeah, that's basically it for all these buffs. I think overall they're honestly pretty nice. I will leave you with a little bit of gameplay after this, but I also showed some stuff while I was talking, so hopefully it was interesting. And yeah, I like those buffs. I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, honestly, very that's rare Genshin W, so we take those. And yeah, I hope you have fun. Let me know which character you wanted the buff the most. And maybe another character that hasn't been buffed yet would be, if you have any suggestion in the chat, in the comments. And I think next video is going to be Yahoda overview. So probably tomorrow or the day after. I don't know when I'm posting this, but hopefully the day after the Durin overview. If you haven't checked the Durin overview, make sure you check it out. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Everybody stand back! Think you can get away? Venti, everybody stand back! Think you can get away? Yeah. Let's play! Yeah.
Burst for it.
Teamwork is dreamwork! Brace yourself. Time for takeoff. Yahoo! Yeah. I'm going in!
Coming to be.
Think you can get away? Let's play! Teamwork is dreamwork! Here we go! Yeah.
Burst for it.
Yahoo! Time for takeoff. I'm going in! Here we go! Yeah. Yahoo! Let's light it up! Everybody stand back! Think you can get away? Brace yourself. Yeah.
Coming to be.
I'm going in! Here we go! Yahoo! Time for takeoff. Let's play! Everybody stand back! Yahoo! Think you can get away?
Burst for it.
Here we go! Going in! Brace yourself! Yeah.
Coming to be.
Time for takeoff. Here we go.
Burst for it.
Let's light it up. Teamwork is dreamwork.
taste blood.